and welcome to my channel. I am Sharita Sims, and I am a speech language pathologist. You may know me from my previous channel, Sim Slims, or you may know me from my mom's channel, Stephanie's Kitchen, but this is my channel about speech language pathology, education, and all things in between in that professional realm. Before we start giving tips and tricks, I thought it might actually be a good idea to tell you how I ended up becoming a speech language pathologist. And in truth, I never actually planned on being a speech language pathologist. I I really wanted to be a creative writer. In this video, I will show you how I accidentally found my career, the moments where I almost changed directions, and why I'm grateful I stayed the course for more than 20 years. If you're interested in speech therapy, education, literacy, neurodiversity, or career journeys, you are welcome here. So I never planned to become a speech language pathologist. I always knew my parents were definitely the parents that were like, you're going to college. And I always loved writing, like creative writing, poetry, and I still do. My parents were very much like, you can't major in just creative writing because, like, I want you to be able to have a job, pay for your life. So that was an off the table major for me. And then I had also always worked with young kids. I worked in summer camps, after school programs, mentoring, tutoring, all that kind of stuff throughout like late middle school and high school. So it seemed naturally that I would want to be an educator, want to be a teacher. And I loved really working with kids. Like it was fun. They're interesting. It's always different. And I thought, okay, I could be a teacher. And spoiler alert, there was a scholarship to Adelphi to become a teacher in 5 years. At that time, it used to take 6 years. I feel like now there are a lot of like master's/bachelor programs. Before there were just not. So it was one of the first programs, and a Delphi scholarship allowed me the opportunity to get my master's in 5 years. They were giving me a great amount of money, and yeah, it was all the things I wanted. I loved the campus. The rabbits were amazing. And so I decided to go there. I did not major in English, although now that I think about it, I'm surprised that I didn't. I think my major was communication, but like more in the marketing, TV, ad sort of level, which is um, one of the majors that you could have if you were going to be, I think it was going to be like a common branch elementary school teacher, if I'm not mistaken. So then I did communications as my major, and then my master's was obviously going to be in elementary education. So to make a long story short, I went on the visit that they always do because that's what they want you to do, a classroom observation. I believe it was like the first semester, I feel like. I was taking an intro to education class, and like that was like one of the last things we did was actually visit a classroom. We were in a great neighborhood in a nice part of Queens in a wonderful public school. And I still was like, oh no, this is like far too many kids at once for me to be responsible for. Like, I think then the class ratio was higher. So I want to say it had to be about 30 some odd kids, 35 kids maybe, although they were all good in a classroom. And then it was just me, 410 me, thinner 410 me, and all of these like third, fourth graders, like hoping that like they didn't form a mutiny because I was not gonna win against that. So I thought, nah, this is definitely not what I want to do all day. Nor did I see myself wanting to be like a kindergarten teacher. There's just too much like hand holding. People can't blow their own noses. None of that was like for me for an all day thing. Like I knew I was better one on one with kids or in smaller groups with kids, like I had done with tutoring and after school. So I was really at a crossroads because scholarship, like I can't lose that. At the time, I happened to be tutoring a young man, or well, now a young man, but a young boy whose aunt was a teacher in the New York City Department of Education. And she had told me about the fact that she was a speech teacher and that I should look into if at Delphi had a communication sciences and disorders department because maybe I also would want to be a speech teacher. And I'm so grateful. She changed my life because once I learned that, I never looked back. I didn't even realize what a speech pathology was, what a speech pathologist was, what a speech pathologist does. And I really didn't realize how difficult the program is when in the world, I feel like people think that we blow bubbles, we play games, and we just, talk all day, which is partly true, but it's a hard major. It was 130 credits altogether for like my bachelor's degree. But 77 of them were credits that were just for communication sciences and disorders. Not to mention, because I had to parlay the fact that I did not have my scholarship because I was no longer going to be on this education track of being like a elementary school teacher. I had to make up that money, and thankfully, I had great grades, so I was able to get an honor scholarship that supplemented. Well, I mean, had I stayed in the STEP program and had my honor scholarship, I'd probably have had no student loans, but that wasn't how life went. Anyway, so I really enjoyed lots of parts of the program. I loved the therapy. Um, I liked the people. Speech science was okay, but it wasn't like great. And I didn't really realize the level of which studying community I needed for this program. And I was still at the like not as fully focused as I could be about it, right? So then I ended up on like academic probation, which really kind of sucks. And people were like, maybe this is not for you. Maybe just be like a special education teacher. But like once I got a taste for actually doing therapy, I knew there was nothing else that I really wanted to be doing. So I persevered. I applied to graduate schools. I was waitlisted, which was extremely humbling, especially to be waitlisted to a school that you go to, right? However, there's always blessings. They were able to, or they happened to, the year that I graduated from undergrad, open a city program, Sunday graduate program for people who wanted to become speech language pathologists. And I was able to be one of the first graduates of that program. And the rest is kind of history. Like I really enjoy my job. It is sometimes hard to explain. I really believe in communication. So tell me in the comments, did you always know what you wanted to do? Or did you accidentally stumble into your career like me? And if you're interested in communication, literacy, neurodiversity, just speech therapy in general, or other real storytelling things from someone who's been in this field for over 20 years, I'd love for you to subscribe. Have a great day. Take care, and thanks a lot.